Hello everyone, this is Ria Pahuja from ETCIO and I welcome you all to this session, How Google Cloud is helping businesses and their consumers save. People love savings. Imagine saving money every time you eat out, go shopping, or even buy medicines. Well, Magicpin has already done this through a single application. But a service of this scale, catering to a global audience, personalizing their needs based on their locations, is not a task for a faint heart. It needs the valor of modern technology and infrastructure that delivers the most optimal flexibility, cost savings, and analytical capabilities. Well, enters Google Cloud Platform infrastructure. Partnering with Searce, Magicpin deployed and adopted GCP Cloud Storage, BigQuery Analytics, Google Kubernetes Engine for its containerizations requirements. The result has been powerful cost savings and perfectly strategic service aligned for Magicpin. Interested to find the whole story? Well, here we are to tell you the whole story. Today, the leaders from Magicpin, Searce, and Google Cloud will tell you how you can achieve the same business benefits from the GCP environment. For this session, we have with us a panel of eminent speakers from the industry. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Abhishek Awasthi, SVP, founding member at Magicpin, Mr. Siddharth Talyan, Associate Director, Digital Natives for Searce, Mr. Nitin Khattar, Customer Engineer, a Data Specialist for Google Cloud. A very warm welcome to your speakers. How have you been?
Yeah, thanks, Ria. Thanks for having me here this afternoon. And I think it is going to be a great conversation, given the context that you have said. Yeah.
Thanks, Ria, for organizing this. Definitely very excited.
Yeah, same here. Happy to be here.
The pleasure is all ours. Before we go ahead with the discussion, I would just like to remind my attendees that they can drop in their queries through the box provided. We will be addressing all of their questions in the end in our Q&A round. Without any further ado, over to you, Siddharth. Please take this forward.
Thank you, Ria. Abhishek, thank you again for making the time. Actually, we have some questions through which we can, go through the whole chat. I just wanted to cover some ground before we get to the real question, right? So, I mean, we have seen that a lot of brands today have a loyalty point structure, and when you visit them, they sign you up, and then you have to keep track of it on their app, right? And I have 50 plus apps now. This loyalty points related. And then there are these vouchers that you can Google them, and there are these web links that take you from one place to the other, but those vouchers never work, right?
Yeah.
And then you have some limited time promotions, which are run on social media, right? Campaigns on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And then you have these influencers talking about these brands and giving out these coupons, right? I think what Magicpin has done is covered all of this, right? And in a journey of only 6 years, I think you've achieved a lot. And being India's #1 savings app is a milestone that you have achieved. So we would like to understand, I think the audience here would like to know, how was your journey, right? What were the challenges that you overcome, and how did you make this happen?
Yeah. That's a great question, Siddharth. So if I were to summarize Magicpin on a single statement, I would say that Magicpin is a platform which connects customers to retailers as well as with the brands. And this entire connection makes this commerce experience magical. That's the power of platform that we have created. Back in 2015, when we started, right, online retail was already a buzz in the market, right? Everyone was kind of thrilled with the experiences that Flipkart and Amazon started to provide in the retail space. But the reality was that online retail was still a 5% of the entire retail space. The 95% of the commerce was happening in the offline retail markets. And the reality was that the technology penetration in that offline space was fairly limited. While players like Paytm and PhonePe were trying to solve the payment problems, there was practically no one who was trying to solve the discovery and growth problems, which were kind of the fundamental problem in the offline retail space. We as a company saw that as an opportunity, and we decided to create a platform which we named as Magicpin. The name Magicpin came from the fact that we wanted to pin a location on a map and display the magic around that location to our customers. And that magic was primarily driven by the discovery as well as by the savings that our customers can avail on different retail outlets around them. So that is how we started. I think over the journey of these 6 years, we have learned a lot of things. All that learning has gone in, and we have shaped this platform better and better over these 6 years. And I can proudly say that now our customers feel that we are India's #1 saving app.
Thank you, Abhishek. Just a couple of follow-up questions, if you don't mind. So it is, of course, a task, right, to get all of these brands to work with you in the first place, right? And being a startup, I think it's all the more difficult to convince people that, you should spend your time and effort in talking to us, right? And secondly, being updated all the time, right? So I think that is also something that you are managing today. So if you could tell us a little bit more about what does it really take to work with so many brands at the same time?
Correct. I think it is a hard task, right? I mean, kudos goes to the business team that we have, right? I think, and this is the power of this platform, right? When brands see that there are 10 million plus customers available on this platform, they feel confident that as a platform we could shape the demands for them. They can build a much stronger brand presence through a digital platform like us. That makes the life of our sales team slightly easy. But having said that, right? I mean, that's where I think we have also built certain expertise on the sales side to work with so many brands at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, Abhishek, it's just like use cases around Airbnb, it's chicken and egg. I mean, do you get the brands first or do you get the customers first, right? On your
So
application.
for us,
How do you solve that?
Yeah, for us, it has always been customers first. I mean, we had been in the loyalty building space for a fairly long period of time before we started bringing these brands on the platform. But I think when the wheel started spinning well, right? I think all of these things, all of these pieces started falling in place, and the brand and the platform has become what it is today.
Thank you, Abhishek. Nitin, over to you. I've been asking too many questions.
Yeah, thank you, Abhishek, first of all, for your time. And I always feel pleasure, talking to you. Been working with Magicpin for more than 3 years now. So since you mentioned, right, the Magicpin was actually something, the magic around when you pin something on a map. And definitely, if I talk about the times in 2015, there were a lot of apps who were focused on location intelligence, but they were more looking at how to solve a problem for a customer from traveling from A to B. While there were very few players who were looking at local commerce. So what was the idea behind creating such a intelligent location, more towards location intelligence kind of a platform like Magic?
Yeah, like I said, Nitin, right? The idea was to enable these local offline retailers and bring discovery and growth to these offline local retailers, right? So I cannot imagine not being a location intelligent platform and do the empowerment to these offline retailers, right? So I think it was, in my opinion, not a choice, right? I mean, you have to be hyper local if you were to shape up demand for an offline retailer. You need to know where these customers are actively shopping, and then that's the only way you could match and shape that demand towards the local retailer.
No, definitely, I can very well understand. Would you mind sharing some of the complexities that you must have faced during these location? Because in India, location itself has matured very lately because of local addresses not in there, and then a lot of retail joints being open at smaller places. So what kind of learnings, I think, will be great to hear about it.
Absolutely. I think Android as a platform also evolved a lot since the time we had been operational, right? So back in 2020, 2015, 16 time faking location of a customer was a lot easy, right? I think with Android 11 and all, right, there are a lot of complexities which Android as a platform also enforces, right? Unless and until a customer really wants to share the location with you, you cannot basically seek location permission, right? So I think we kind of played it in slightly smarter way. If I don't know how many of you remember, but originally we were asking our customers to upload a bill from an outlet to claim a cashback, right? So that in a way was a crowdsourcing that we had done to collect the location of a particular outlet. We built certain sophisticated algorithms behind the scenes to narrow down that, okay, if a particular store is falling in this area and there are so many customers who are claiming bills, and we could see the background on the selfies that they are submitting to the platform, and we feel confident that the location of that customer was uh, X, and this location that we have for this outlet is Y. So we could technically figure out that, okay, perhaps there is some correction to be made. So there was a journey of all these corrections which led to the accurate locations eventually for majority of these outlets.
Thanks, Abhishek. And I can very well relate. As a personally, I've been the user since the start, and the best part I used to find is like you're getting points for just uploading your bills and giving a selfie in return. So thank you so much, Abhishek.
Great. I think just adding to that, Abhishek, having an idea is one thing, but executing it is a very, very difficult task. And especially if it's an app or a marketplace, I think 3 or 4 things that are really important is, first of all, it's the availability. It needs to be up and running the whole time. Latency, that is the speed with which the application reacts to every click. And of course, scalability, ability to onboard millions of people and not crash or have a downtime, and also security, right? User data is much talked about these days. I think 5 to 7 years ago, nobody really cared, but I think today everybody wants to know how my data is being processed, right? So, I mean, of course, all of this works right now for you. Question really is, what kind of technology stack have you adopted that ensured that all of these things work at the same time?
Yeah. So I think, Siddharth, this has been a journey, right? When we started, let me admit it, we did not know what eventually we are going to create, right? That's how startups evolve, right? I mean, you start with maybe 20 ideas, and maybe 5 of them work eventually, right? Or 2 of them work eventually, right? So to be very honest, when we started, we adopted open source technologies like Magento to begin with, right? And we built something, we ran with it for a certain time frame, and then once we knew that what we eventually wanted to take in a longer run, we started building those solutions in house using some nice technologies. And I can proudly say that whatever decisions we took at that time, 2015-16 timeframe, they are still holding good. We have not rewritten majority of the systems that we had created back in 2015-16 timeframe. So this has been evolution in terms of building the technology blocks brick by brick. Coming back to your second question, right? I think this is a digital era, right? I think keeping downtime to minimum possible level is the key, right? I mean, unless and until you provide 24/7 high availability platform, you are going to annoy your customers and they are not going to come back, right? Having said that, right? It was not the situation from day one, right? We have also learned through this journey that what all we need to do to keep the availability high, latency very low, and make sure that we do not have many hiccups when a lot of customers are on our platform. So there have been a lot of learnings, but having been in a platform like Google Cloud is always helpful, right? Because Google Cloud shields you from majority of the infrastructural worries, right? You need not to worry about whether I need to add 5 more servers, I need to scale my database, I need to worry about my distributed data storage or some security vulnerability all the time, right? There are these things are offered by the cloud platform right away. So some of these capabilities that we have on the cloud platform always helped us remain up majority of the time.
Excellent, Abhishek. And if you were to give like advice or 2 cents of your knowledge that you have gathered over the years for young entrepreneurs who are currently in the process of building something great, right? What would you recommend? Should they consider products that are around platform as a service, where most of the administrative tasks are taken care of by the OEM or the service provider, and you just focus on code development? Or do you still feel that probably everything should be under your control initially, and then probably you start outsourcing some of the administrative tasks? So what's your take on it now?
Yeah. I Siddharth, I am very clear since the very beginning, right? I mean, I feel unless and until it is absolutely necessary, you should not build anything on your own, right? I mean, if there is something available in the open source world, go and utilize that as much as possible. If there is something available on the cloud platform as a service, go and utilize that as much as you can versus doing everything in-house, maintaining all of your infrastructure and worry about scaling that infrastructure every day, right? That because that way you can focus on the actual problem statements and not about the subsystems on top of which you are building your solutions.
No, thank you. Makes sense.
Definitely, Abhishek. I think that's a very interesting point where you brought in that how some of the services which are available in open source or by the cloud providers, one can quickly adopt and reduce the time to market versus building themselves. But let's go a little earlier. If you look at customers today, almost still, if you look at the customers who adopted clouds across the world, it's even lesser than 10% as of today. And then there is no more and more adoption that we have seen across India and other sub-regions as well. Now, going on to the cloud almost 4 to 5 years back, what was the turning point? What was your starting point on choosing Google Cloud and any specific reason behind that?
Yeah. So Nitin, I think we were very clear since the very beginning that we are going to be cloud first company. I mean, before GCP, we were on some other cloud. So coming back to your specific questions, what prompted us to be on Google Cloud platform, right? I remember those days when we made that call. And one thing that I recall is the business that we were running at that point was there was a strong ask from the business side that whatever bills are getting uploaded on the platform, we need to take a decision on those bills in near real time scenario, right? So we were a fairly young company and we realized that building a solution which is able to detect the text from the image of the bill that we are getting in a reliable format is going to take a lot longer. Google Cloud had a Cloud Vision service right then and there available. And I think that was the key point of key differentiating point for which we felt that Google Cloud had a clear edge over any other cloud platform available in the market, at least for us, right? Having said that, right, we every year evaluate whether Google Cloud is the right platform for us. And I think for the last 5 to 6 years, I'm proud to say that in all those evaluations, Google Cloud turns out to be the winner. So there are a lot many things that we have gradually started using in Google Cloud platform, which is keeping GCP as the preferred partner.
Thanks, Abhishek. I think that's the reason, and that's the love we get from our customers, as well as the overall excitement that keeps Google Cloud on their toes. And we keep working towards releasing more and more services that actually tries to solve customer problems and not just be a tech kind of statement out there.
Yeah.
If you can help us, with more about how Google Cloud, for Magicpin has evolved, or how do you, seek, you're looking to seek more out of GCP. what are some of the new areas you're invested in? I think many of our viewers who have started to look at Google Cloud or are still evaluating, I think they'll be happy to hear this.
Yeah. So, like I said, right, we adopted Google Cloud in a very earlier stage of the company, right? So, we had this luxury of growing with Google Cloud. I think this journey has transformed our scale at least 50x, right? So, I can recall the time when we adopted Google Cloud. Perhaps we were doing maybe 10,000 transactions on a monthly basis, right? And versus what we are doing today, that will be like I think it will be thousand x kind of a scale that we are operating at this point. So I feel we have learned a lot of things being in the Google Cloud platform, which otherwise would have been difficult to learn and adopt. I especially like the quarterly business review meetings that we do with the Google Cloud and Searce team, where we basically can feel that Searce and Google Cloud both act like extended engineering team for us, right? We discuss the problem statements that we solve, and we hear a lot of good feedback / suggestions from Google Cloud team as well as Searce team, and that in some cases have helped us shape our solutions in a better way. If I were to recall a couple of such decisions that we had taken in the past, one was adoption of Bigtable. I remember we were using Cassandra at that point of time, and all of a sudden Cassandra started giving us a lot of problems which we as a team were not able to come out of. And when we discussed that situation with Google Cloud team, they suggested that, okay, we have something called Bigtable, which is fairly similar to what Cassandra offers. Why not try it? And once we did that, we figured out that it was the right thing to do. Same thing goes for the data warehouse that we have built internally. While we were deciding where to go and build that data warehouse, I think GCP team had suggested that BigQuery is the right choice. We did the POC and it turned out to be the right choice. And I feel there is whatever growth we have seen in the last 6 months or so, BigQuery has played a pivotal role in taking some of those growth decisions.
Thank you, Abhishek. I think your kind words always help boost our confidence, and we'll really be looking forward to help you more. Siddharth, over to you.
Yeah, on that note, Abhishek, we would like to understand what's the future here. Like, you already built an amazing product, but what's coming up? If you could give us a sneak peek, and if we can try and connect that to what kind of future decisions that you will take on technology, infrastructure, and so that would really help.
Yeah. So from the business point of view, right? I mean, so far we have been strong on food and beverage category, but these local markets have more offerings, right? So we are planning to go deeper on other categories like fashion, pharma, grocery, the beauty service category. So business-wise, we are planning to go deeper on these sites. We have been operational on majority of the tier 1 cities so far. I think the time has come for us to now go to tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Pre-pandemic time, we were kind of planning to execute that growth path, but when pandemic hit us, all that situation actually changed. But now the markets are back, so yeah, we will go to the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and we will try to learn how to do business there, and then we will scale that part out. So that's on the business growth side. On the tech side, I feel data is going to play a pivotal role for anything that we do from this point onward, right? So be it like providing different sort of services to our customers, or be it like preventing the fraudulent situations which happen time to time in the platform. Data and personalization is going to be the key focus area for us as a platform. Other than that, I think we are anticipating this scale to grow further. We are anticipating that in the next 6 months or so, the scale will grow from 5x to 10x from this point onward. So sustaining that scale with the reliability that we have built is going to be another key focus area for us as a tech platform. And I feel Google Cloud has all the offerings that we can utilize to address these two key focus areas going forward.
Makes sense, Abhishek. Abhishek, anything on the lines of artificial intelligence, anything that you would want to build in the coming years that would just ensure that users can interact with brands directly, right? And be able to find the right fit. There are so many products and so many brands out there. Yeah, there are great discounts, but how do I know that this is the best fit for me? Right.
Yeah.
So are you thinking in that direction as well at some point?
Absolutely, Siddharth. So as customers are doing more and more transactions on the platform, right, we are also able to understand our customers better, right? And that's where I think these data-driven decision-making platform offerings will come into the picture, right? So we are trying to understand our customers better and how well we can connect to them, to different retailers as well as to the brands. That's the personalization that I was referring to. That's the focus area that we are working on.
Great. We'll probably come back to Google Cloud again, but I have a broader question for you, right? I mean, you're running a business and you're completely focused on marketing your products, reaching the right customers, and then you have a fantastic partner in terms of Google Cloud, which has really built a phenomenal solution for companies like you. But I think there is some role to play for industry experts, who would come in and actually share their experiences with you, right? Like you might be able to share your experiences of running a company like Magicpin with a younger entrepreneur at some point of time. So a company like Searce, right, that comes into play, works with you on your infra requirements, provides suggestions, recommendations, sessions, trainings, and all of that. I mean, how important do you think a partner like Searce can be in this ecosystem? What are the couple of things that you found were very helpful in your journey?
Yeah. No, Siddharth, I think our experience with Searce has been really great, right? Like I said, right, we at times treat Searce as well as Google Cloud team as the extended engineering team internally. So both Searce and Google Cloud team members are available real time to support us wherever needed. I think that's a relationship that I think we could build over the last 4 to 5 years. And we take pride at that, right? I think that gives us a lot of freedom to kind of take decisions quickly. For an example, the two scenarios that I mentioned, right? Adopting Bigtable and BigQuery, right? Those decisions were made fairly quickly, and those were possible only because we had the access to the right people who could basically advise us well in the time.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, cloud is a journey, right? It's not really a destination, right? And we learn from you. We also take some feedback. We relate to Google Cloud team. They also work with you in tandem. And I think it's an evolving product, if I might say, right? If you have a couple of asks, right, from Searce or Google Cloud, like this is the future and you guys should be thinking in this direction as well. Is there anything that comes to mind? Anything that you thought probably I should tell these guys?
As someone who is running a tech company, I think I would say if there is something that Searce can do to help the younger tech companies on DevOps excellence, that might be one area that I could suggest, right? I think DevOps is one area which is neglected to an extent that unless and until things really start going down, at least startups do not invest a lot of effort and energy on that direction. But if that could be availed like a service, right? I think that will be of great benefit to the young companies like us.
Thank you for sharing that. I think it's time for me to go back and prep some material around it. Over to you, Nitin.
Sure. First of all, Abhishek, thank you so much that you have given a good broader perspective and a spectrum around how things like technology, things from business standpoint have been playing a vital role at Magicpin. What my next question would be around is, we've seen a lot of companies, for them, business is the bread and butter, the domain that they work in, the industry that they operate in. And many companies, on the flip side, they have been too much focused in building the technology grounds up. While at Magicpin, help us understand how you're able to marry both the business, the customer, since you're into this domain, and technology together, and have a fine balance in between them.
Yeah. So, like I said in the beginning, Nitin, right? I think we as a company were decided to build this digital platform because we felt that this entire offline retail space is not as much penetrated from the technology side as it should, right? So, technology naturally comes into the center when we started kind of building this business, because we wanted to help this offline retail space through technology. So I think that has been the key differentiator. If I recall, if I compare ourselves with any other company who is in the market, adoption of technology has been in the core, because uh, we are transferring these technology solutions to the offline retailers eventually.
Yeah, and I think one good part that we have seen as a consumers also, not just the technology advancement we have seen in building up the systems, but the consumers have really advanced digitally.
Yeah.
So even the phones they are carrying, the overall experience that they are seeing in retail and others, and it's really hard for any organization to keep up with that advancement pace. Do you see that as a challenge at this point of time?
Not really anything. I feel if anything, right, that's a positive thing for us as a business, right? I recall the time of 2016, 17, right, when the smartphones were not as smart as they are today, right? We were constantly worrying about average customer will take hardly 10 to 15 apps on their device, right? And if you are consuming maybe 2 MB or 3 MB of the space in their device, they are likely to uninstall you very easily, right? So we were solutioning to build like PWA equivalent back in that time, such that people can avail our service on the need basis. If they don't need it, they need not install the app altogether, right? But gone are those days, right? I think the hardware evolution has made the life easier for platforms like us. We have also become a stronger platform, but I think at least back in customers' mind, it is no longer an issue to keep 25 apps on the phone at the same time.
Sure,
Great.
that makes complete sense, Abhishek. Yeah, Siddharth, over to you.
Yeah, I just had one question while I was listening. Abhishek, there are two schools of thought, right? At least in India right now. One school of thought is that cloud expense is a cost, and the other thought is that cloud expense is an investment that you make in the business, right? Because you want to make sure that your users are happy, right,
Yeah.
with the performance of the application. What is your thought? Do you still see it as a cost, or do you think this is an investment that is prudent? Because I'll tell you why. A lot of startup founders that I talk to are focused more on being on platforms that are much cheaper, right? And trying to win against the ones who are actually on GCP and AWS. And there are differences in services and the offerings that you have. So if you were to go back in time again, and would you still make the same choice? And what would be your thought process?
Yeah, absolutely, yes, Siddharth, right? In my mind, right? I mean, I think the cloud is equivalent to the office space or the hardware that we provide to all our employees, right? It is equivalent to that, right? It is the essential part, unless and until you invest properly and you provide this leverage to your engineering team to not constantly worry about procuring the actual hardware somewhere in someone's rack space, right? Um, you need to free their bandwidth from at least that point. right? So I feel it is an investment. But having said that, right, I think we all are running a business, so that cost of that investment should always be in control. So yeah, I think there has to be a middle ground. But if you were to ask me to choose between 0 and 1, I would say yeah, it is an investment that every company should make.
Yeah, that's
So,
really good to hear, Abhishek, the way you look at it. Yes, Nitin, please go ahead.
so Abhishek, I think these are exciting times for any organization, and definitely, just like you mentioned, data and AI have playing a vital role. And in fact, with coming augmented reality, a lot of retail stores are now, trying to build themselves on metaverse and similar technologies. Uh, where do you see a commerce platform like yours, loyalty management, whereas affiliate marketing, all of this together? What is the future is for these kind of organizations?
I feel within the offline retail space is going to come back a lot stronger than where it was pre-pandemic time. So there is nothing fundamentally wrong, right? People would love to go out and do shopping the way they were doing pre-pandemic time. Though these pandemic times have changed the customer behavior. Some of the things they would like to order online, and with that belief, we built the delivery leg in between these 2 years, right? We as a platform have started offering delivery as a service to our retail partners. So I feel that both sides will continue to grow stronger. People, because they have learned ordering during these 2 years, right? They are not going to kind of forget all of that and go to the offline stores altogether, right? So they'll continue to do that. But as a human being, right? I mean, we have been trained to go out and do shopping for our entire life, right? So that is also going to come back stronger. So I feel both the sides have a lot of growth potential, and India is a big market, right? I mean, there is a room for everyone, and I strongly believe that both these sides will continue to grow. And we as a platform are planning to grow deeper on both these sides. As I said, delivery as a service that we had started offering, we have big plans to go big on that side.
I think a very fair point. The overall ecosystem is kind of evolving very fast, and so is the organizations. They definitely have to adopt newer systems and newer areas of growth. So coming to the end of the hour, Abhishek, what does growth looks like for Magicpin? Are we planning to target audiences from more tier 2, tier 3 cities? We have seen a very good amount of digital advancements in those cities as well. Are we also looking at those markets?
Absolutely. Then we are looking to go in tier 2, tier 3 cities. The plan is to go a little more aggressive on the rest of the categories in tier 1 cities first, and then learn how we can do businesses in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. And once we know, because I'm very sure the learnings in tier 2 and tier 3 cities are going to be little different than what we have learned while doing businesses in tier 1 cities. So tier 1 cities, we are going to go very aggressive. In tier 2, tier 3 cities, we are going to go, but first we will learn and then we will become more aggressive on those segments.
Interesting, Abhishek. If I were to ask you a question, right? So business models mostly run on ARPU, right? What is my average revenue for every user that I'm onboarding? Are there plans to go international at some point of time, to say North America, parts of Europe, or even Southeast Asia? Or do you want to stay in India for the next 5 years? What's your plan?
So Siddharth, we were present in Indonesia in the pre-pandemic times. We already started kind of exploring that path. Pandemic changed a lot of things, and that was one thing that we stopped doing. We basically we contracted all those growth plans that we had for international markets. But that's always in the card, right? We already had some experience running our Indonesia business. and we would like to go international in the coming years also. But having said that, right, we have yet not explored the entire country yet. So there is a lot of room to do expansion internally in India itself. Uh,
The reason I ask is, Abhishek, once you build that trust, which you have built with so many users in India, and trust me, there are more Indians outside of India than in India right now. People will settle all across the world, right? So the trust, being an Indian brand, actually might be super helpful in actually going to geographies like UK, Canada, where there are a lot of Indians out there,
yeah,
right? Who would want to have that basic website to go to
yeah,
find the right deals. So,
absolutely,
so I'm assuming that that would be on cards at some point of time.
absolutely. Yeah.
Great. Nitin, if you have any further questions for Abhishek, I think he's
Um,
been very patient with us.
yeah, I think we are almost to our end of conversation. And Abhishek, thank you so much. There have been nothing better than this. We talked about a lot about business, the overall sentiments of the customers, and most important, how technology plays a vital role out there. Siddharth, I'll pass it over to you to share a few words about Sears. Definitely, how Sears has evolved as a partner and have been very
Yeah,
tangible in this journey, in the cloud journey for many organizations.
yeah. I mean, I think I said that earlier as well. A lot of people know Magicpin and Google, but people will be wondering who is the Sears, right? And what are their capabilities? So if you guys don't mind, I have some couple of slides. I'll just walk you through it. And of course, we'll have a Q&A after this for any questions for Abhishek, Nitin, or myself. Just give me a second. Great. I'm assuming that, Abhishek, you can see the screen, right?
Yes, I can.
Okay. All right. So Sears has been out there for a while now. I think it's more than 15 years, and we have been in more than 5 countries, major countries, including the US, UK, India, Singapore, and across these countries we have more than 15 plus office locations now, right? And I think in the past few years, since majorly when we start, becoming a Google Cloud platform partner, we have served more than 3,000 customers to date. And most of these customers that we have had are fast growing startups like Magicpin, right? And we continue to do good work in this direction. Just wanted to lay out a timeline of what Sears has been doing since the past few years. And I think a couple of milestones here is, I think 2015, I would say, when we began the GCP practice along with Google. And at that time, I think it was very important to establish trust, not just for Sears, but also for the Google Cloud platform in an industry that was getting very competitive back then, right? But I think now in 2021, which is another major milestone, is that we finally became the managed service partner. And assuming we are in the top 3 right now globally, wherein we help companies find solutions rather than just the cloud platform. And these are the locations that I was earlier talking about. We are pretty spread out across the world and able to serve customers in almost all time zones. Now, coming to what are our specializations, because every service provider comes with something which we are expert at, right? And we are proud of the fact that we are expert on cloud. So anything to do with migrating workloads from one cloud platform to the other, expertise on location-based services like Google Maps, solving problems when it comes to analytics, big data. How do you find the right inferences from a data set? The data set could be structured or semi-structured in this case. And also work transformation, right? So there's a lot of collaboration that's required these days for companies to grow rapidly. And I think there are solutions out there on the Google platform that we specialize in, and we have helped many companies achieve scale. And when we say many companies, some of the logos that I could gather before this session. But I think what it goes to say is that we work with enterprises, we work with startups, we work with the mid-sized companies. And I think the experience that we could bring to the table for a young entrepreneur who is looking to find the right solution out there, I think this could be priceless. So yeah, that's the introduction to CS, and I hope that was helpful.
No, thanks for that. I think I can very well say, as being working as an architect with Google Cloud from past 3 years, uh, partner do plays a vital role, definitely, and that's really true. At the same time, organizations who already have engineering teams, they have been already working on a lot of business priorities of theirs. There's always very less room for bandwidth, and Abhishek can properly can add to it. A partner helps out in basically easing that bandwidth. And if it is more use case focused, if it is more workload focused, then there's nothing better than that. So, thank you, Siddharth, and thanks, Abhishek. Over to you, Ria.
Thank you, Nitin. First of all, as Siddharth mentioned, Abhishek, thank you so much for being patient with us as we ask you a lot of questions here. But again, there's no end to questions, and we have attendee questions now. So if you're open to it, the first question, Abhishek, for you here is, how does the platform safeguard sensitive information for its users, like their pictures and bank details?
Yep. So I think we do have privacy settings enabled on our app, which basically customers can go and select what type of photographs they want to make public, what type of photographs they only want to open for the network that they have built on the platform. So using those settings, people can choose the kind of information that they want to make public versus just open to their own network.
Sure, thank you. Nitin, the next question is for you. How did Google ecosystem help the digital world in the pandemic time?
Yeah, thank you. That's a very great question, I'll say. Specifically, if you look at the last 2 years, more than if I talk about Google Cloud, it's the organizations themselves who have adopted the digital ecosystem. There has been a good amount of trend where we have seen organizations who may be thinking of moving to cloud, but they have not just adopted cloud, but they have gone on almost full-blown, developed a lot of things in terms of the innovation, in terms of customer centricity. And that's where Google Cloud has helped them adopt, reduce their time to market with the open ecosystem that Google Cloud brings in, whether it's part of the application modernization or it's part of the data ecosystem. That plays a vital role because it's there for the developer ecosystem, for them to easily connect, for them to easily adopt, at the same time excel in what they're doing, with the help of technology.
Sure, thank you for that. Continuing the question to you, Nitin, the next question is, what were the challenges for you as an OEM while working and implementing solutions for Magicpin?
Yeah, definitely. Just like Abhishek talked about, we've been working very closely with their engineering teams right from starting adoption of a data warehouse. Because, generally, what we've seen in any organization, digital native like Magicpin, initial years are more spent towards the application stability, the application availability. It should be up and running. It should be able to provide better latencies, the turnaround times. But as the organizations keep collecting data over a gradual amount of time, it's really important that are we able to harness that data or not? Are we able to take insights out of it and use those insights to innovate the product offerings? I think that feedback cycle plays a very important role for any organization, and so was the case with Magicpin. And we help them resolve these complexities, make it more self-serviced, take the data to their marketers, take the data to their product teams in a seamless fashion, so that it becomes easily available. It can be easily utilized in their product offerings. So that I see is one of the complexity areas that we really helped out. And another, what Abhishek talked about, how do we help them move to Bigtable and provide them a more robust and a high throughput system that can help them build for scale, so that they can bring in more and more users, so many transactions happening per second. And definitely, the need of the hour was a product that can handle that much amount of throughput. At the same time, it is able to also give them a better cost construct.
Sure, thank you for that. Back to you, Abhishek. A lot of questions for you here. The next question is, how did technology and cloud infrastructure help you pivot your business model over the years?
Yeah. So, like I said, right, being hosted on cloud always shields you from the infrastructural worries. You need not to worry about uh, procuring more hardware, worrying about the power backup, etc., where your hardware is hosted and all, right? So, uh, so that's one thing. Another thing is there are a lot of ready-made solutions available on the cloud. Platforms like Bigtable, BigQuery, right? If you were to build something on your own, or if you were to utilize any of the open source solutions which are available in the similar domains, right? It takes a lot of bandwidth from the engineering team to build those solutions and have them running as per your business needs. Having these solutions readily available on a cloud basically frees up your bandwidth to focus on the actual business use cases that you are planning to solve for. So I would say that's the key. These are the key two different things that anyone would love to have as a tech leader while they are building a young company.
Exactly. So that we have the next question for you. How does Searce help online platforms like Magic scale their business with all the challenges ahead in the market?
Thank you for that broad question. I could probably spend the next 30 minutes talking about it. But I think, Google has already built an amazing product. Um, the said entrepreneur in this case, who CS would talk to, already knows what needs to be achieved. Right. So there are these business objectives that needs to be achieved. There is a platform out there capable of meeting those business objectives. I think you need someone who would listen, right? Listening to the customer is the first thing that we do. It's very easy to, look at a business and say, hey, this is an e-commerce platform. These are the 5 things you should do, and yeah, you're done, right? But that's not the case because every entrepreneur thinks of the product in a slightly different way. So we listen, and then what we try and do is document everything. I think documentation is one area where we are very strong at. And documentation is not just to create SOWs or statements of work. Documentation is also about what did we discuss, right? And what was the outcome of that discussion? Because in a project, there are many people who come in and come out depending on their role in the project. And I think without documentation, both the customer and CS would not know what happened in the last 2 months, right? So that is where we focus on, which has been really helpful for us. And of course, aligning the business folks with the technical folks and ensuring that the solution is helpful for both, right? Meeting both business objectives, but keeping the administrative overhead on the tech teams at the lowest, right? So Abhishek mentioned the CS should focus on DevOps. I think it's completely right. And there are a lot of other things that we should probably be focusing more on going forward with Abhishek and other entrepreneurs telling us what they really want. And at the end of this comes delivery, right? Once we do all of these activities, that is when we start executing. And I think the execution becomes seamless only because when you do your initial documentation, processes, understanding, getting all the stakeholders on the same page, right? And execution-wise, I think we have close to 300 certified cloud engineers now who have specializations on the platform. And yeah, I mean, I think with CS, you can expect a broad level of consultative exercise, not just a partner that will help you go on cloud.
All right. Before we go off, Abhishek, one last question for you if you're up for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. The question says, would you rather prefer a single cloud or a multi-cloud stack? And if you could state the reasons why.
As much as possible, I would like to remain in single cloud. There are different benefits. Unless and until I think there is a very strong use case that the cloud that you have chosen is not able to basically solve for. All I think majority of the cloud solutions which are available in market, at least the top 3 cloud solutions which are available in the market, they are pretty much at par in terms of offering different services. So in terms of reliability, in terms of availability, in terms of all the basic software services, I think all the 3 clouds are pretty much at par. There are very few key differentiating services which are specific to the clouds. I think it is up to the need of the hour, what individuals are looking out for. That should be the difference. That should be the decision-making point in case someone wants to go multi-cloud. But my personal experience and advice would be to remain single cloud platform as much as possible, because there are a lot of other challenges that you see once you become multi-cloud platform.
Exactly. For sure. Great. Thank you so much for being with us. Abhishek, Nitin, Siddharth, thank you so much for answering all our questions. For our audience, we have tried to answer most of your questions. In case we have left on few or you have more questions, please do reach out to us through any of our online and communication channels. We will always be happy to help. Thank you so much once again. Until next time, please stay safe.
Yeah. Thank you, Ria. Thank you for having us this afternoon. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.